Welcome to drivenmavens.com. My name is Arvin, and we're going to talk about sketching headlamps. So let's go. Alright, we are going to be building on some of the previous lessons that were discussed on some of the prior videos before this. But one of the things that I want people to focus on maybe is to start looking at drawing other components of the vehicle. It gets pretty taxing to try to remember all the details as you're drawing an entire car. So sometimes it's just important to maybe just focus on the actual component in itself. Now I'm just taking for inspiration a BMW headlamp here. And all I'm going to do is just start laying down the line work and the basic shapes that are associated with this. This is not going to get too complicated. All we're going to do is just block in some quick shapes and define the shapes with line weight and just add some basic shapes for like cylinders for the lights themselves. As I go through further tutorials, I'll probably get into doing more detailed headlamp illustrations and that sort of thing, but in order for people to not get too intimidated, we just want to simplify things a little bit. As you simplify, they're just much easier to understand and easier for you to break things down and make sense of. And that's the name of the game here. It's just to kind of ease you into this stuff. And plus it kind of breaks the monotony from some of my previous examples of just drawing boxes and stuff. And everyone knows that drawing boxes is boring. But unfortunately, they are the critical necessities to laying down a solid foundation for your drawing skills. But anyway, you've heard me say that before. I don't want to keep repeating that. So this is zoomed up quite a bit. What we've got is a nice, a pretty decent shape, and I'm just starting to identify some of the surfaces and the transitions. So we got the main headlamp area. It's kind of a wedge shape at the top. And then you got a little step here that's just in front of the headlamp, which is what I've drawn here. Now I'm just going to lightly put in the minor axis to where my cylinders will be for the headlamps. What you should be able to see as far as similarities from some of the previous examples is everything is just related back to simple shapes. You start to relate things to the simple forms, then you can start to learn how to build on those simple forms and detail them out later. I have to say that having a tablet here and being able to draw is a lot simpler than using my Wacom tablet. It allows me to essentially do what I was doing by hand, but just be able to capture it a little bit easier on the computer. So here I'm just drawing my cylinder. I'm going to draw the inner lens, and then I'm just going to roughly put in a little reflection line here, cross hatch it, define that a little bit. Notice how I'm darkening up the lines to bring a little bit more attention to that particular area of the lens. Crosshatch the top, as that will be on the shadow side because it's all concave. It's all moving away from the light, or that surface doesn't see the light, so that's going to be darker, while the bottom ends up being a little bit lighter. Then I'm just going to add a quick core reflection here on the side. I'm going to define the shape of the headlamp a little bit more So I'm going to go back over it, reinforce the darker lines, bring some attention to it. There's the cut line for the hood. Again, reinforcing the shape of the cylinder. Already what you can see now is you can see the shape of the headlamp. You've got a little bit of details there. And believe it or not, as you get into this is actually it's actually fun. I enjoy drawing the simple shapes and just starting to rationalize it, and then make sure that I get to realize all the details after the fact. So it's just a process. You just want to make sure that you stick to a process of starting simple, breaking things down to block shapes, and then slowly adding those details in. I'm going to open up that ellipse a little bit. Just felt that it needed to be a little bit more, increase the degree of the ellipse a little bit more. Now, in some of my previous examples with the templates and stuff that I put out there for ellipses, what you have to do is you have to, I don't know how rational it is to always set things up into planes and then dissect the planes into boxes and dissect the boxes and getting your ellipse. I think they're all really good at the beginning, but then after some point you gain some experience, you're going to have to try to feel what these ellipses look like in perspective. After a while, you're not going to want to keep setting things up. You're going to want to be able to nail them right away. So I would encourage that you start looking at also reference photographs and that sort of thing as well. Everything kind of has to happen in conjunction with this, in conjunction with what you're doing here with the basics. Okay, so now we're just about done. I'm just going to add a little bit more value, just drawing some sketch lines here at the bottom, as the value there would be a little bit darker. You can even use the thicker side of your pencil and just hatch that entire area in if you'd like. You just want to make sure you create some value so you can identify the shape a little bit better. Just adding some more sketch lines, and we're just about wrapping this thing up. So hopefully this was valuable to you, and that you have again, it's just reinforcing some of the lessons that we've been talking about before. And just make sure that you just keep doing these simple exercises. Every now and then, spend maybe a half hour, maybe an hour, maybe even a couple of hours. Just start observing objects and start breaking them down to simple shapes. And hopefully what you're seeing or what you're getting out of this is the value of just breaking things down into simple terms and breaking things down into simple forms. And how do you project those forms into perspective? And then that's just about it. And you just got to keep practicing. Alright, now for the last bit, we're just going to speed it up. I'm just going to reinforce the lines a little bit more, darken those things up. add a little bit more attention to the shape of the headlamp. Get my thick to thin lines in. Reinforce the shape of that headlamp. And I think we've got it. Hope you enjoyed the lesson, and we'll see you here next time on drivenmavens.com. Have a good one, guys.